Good day, everybody. This is Gardening Warrior, and today we are going to assemble some meals in bags. I use these to actually teach my children how to meal prep. So when they have meal prep or meal plan on their chore list, this is what they go to, and they'll pull it out and, whichever one they want, and make that one for the family for today. Now, the first one we're going to do is Southwest beef and pasta. And what is in the bag? There's 2 pouches of pasta, 1 beef pasta season pouch, 1 can of Southwest corn, that's for a side, and, oh yeah, the Salisbury steak. The beef. Where's the beef? There it is. Alright, so now we're going to put this into our bag. I always put the heavier cans or jars on the bottom. That gives it a good solid base. And then the next can. And then we're going to put our pasta in there. And our seasoning. And then our directions. Now, some of the bags are set up a little differently. As you can see from the next bunch, is they actually have the contents on the outside. I do this recipe a little different every time, so that's why it's not written on the outside of the bag. It's written on the card itself. Alright, so now we're going to go to the next. That's Southwest beef and pasta. Alright, now we are going to assemble our beef and rice, and this bag actually tells what's in it on the outside. So we have 1 can of beef stew, 1 quart of beef, and it just says flavored beef on it. That's home cooked beef. And then 1 cup of rice, and that's all here as well as the directions. So now we're just going to put it in the bag. And like I said, I like to put the heavier jars in the bag first. And then we're going to put the beef stew in right next to that. And some people say, why don't you use Ziploc bags? Oh, I have Ziploc bags, but I use the good Ziploc bags that you reuse over and over and over again. So I'm not going to waste that on this. Yeah, I reuse these bags over and over again. And so it's not a waste. And it fits perfectly. It sits up nice. These are actually not regular sandwich bags. These are called extra large sandwich bags. And pretty much everything I make, I can fit in one of these. There are a few that are in 2.5 gallon bags, but those are not, they are clear Ziploc type bags that you get from the Dollar Tree. But those are for much bigger meals. Most of the meals I make, you can just stack just like this in one of these extra large bags. Alright. Whoops. Put in our rice. Put in our recipe card. And we're done with the beef and rice. Alright, now we are going to make a burrito bag. This does not have the tortillas in it, because sometimes I use tortilla chips. Sometimes I use the actual wrap. Sometimes I use the little taco boats. I never know. So that's why it's not written on the outside, and that's why it's not in the bag itself. So the first ingredient is our sauce base. This is literally just a beef mix, and it's home canned. It's tomatoes and beef. And then our 1 cup of rice. And then our refried beans. and then our Rotel. And I actually like to get the Great Value Rotel, or, you know, Rotel style, diced tomatoes with green chilies. It's actually a bigger can than you usually get from the Rotel itself, and it's like half the price. And my kids seem to like this better. Alright, there we go. In goes our card. And now, that's the end of the burrito bag. And we're going to go on to the next one. Alright, everybody, let's go to our next meal in a bag. This one is actually inspired by Wicked Prepared. That's what that means. It's a meal in a bag, and this is cheesy chicken and rice. And the first thing we have is our 2 pouches of rice. Then we have a quart of milk. This is almond milk. And then we have 2 10.5 ounces or a 22 ounce, which is what we have here, of cream of mushroom soup. And then we have 2 4-ounce sauces, Velveeta sauces or Velveeta type sauces. And then I also have some Cheddar Bay biscuits here. That's just to add for a side. And then we have a quart of chicken, which is for some reason not on my list. But anyways, quart of chicken. And now we're going to put it into this giant bag. This is a 2.5 gallon Ziploc style bag. Alright, so the first thing we put in there is our quart of chicken. And then I'm going to put the cream of mushroom soup. This is kind of hard to do with one hand, so just bear with me a second. There we go. And then we're going to put our milk. Again, kind of hard to do with one hand. Just a second here. There we go. Alright, so now I'm back. I had to put the phone down so I could get that milk in there. Now we're going to put this is 90-second microwave rice. You do need to like crush it up, you know, like this before you microwave it. Just follow the directions. And I do have a recipe in my meal in a bag notebook for this recipe. We're going to put those little guys in there. And then the cheese. There we go. Sorry that was so crazy. And now that one's ready to go. Alright folks, so now we are going to move on to our taco chili in a bag. And this one does not have a name on it as to who inspired this. So it might just be something that I made up. Usually if it doesn't have a name or like the initials, then it's just something I put together and thought sounded good. So that's what we're going to go with. So I've got the 24 ounces of tomato sauce. I've got taco beef. 2 cans of chili with beans. 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies, like Rotel. A can of seasoned refried beans. These are really good. My kids like these. And then we have a 4-ounce container of cheese sauce. Mix that all together. Not the cheese sauce. Mix all this together. And then you will add the cheese sauce after you're done heating this. And add the cheese sauce, and then you can eat it over rice. We also have quinoa here. We have brown rice. Or you can also put this on top of like a burrito to make a burrito bowl. You can eat this all kinds of ways. But we like to eat ours over rice and quinoa, so that's why that's there. Alright. And that again is taco chili. Good day, everybody. This is Gardening Warrior, and we are at the Q table going through the pantry of meals and bags. I use these meals and bags to help my children with meal planning and meal preparation. When it's their day on their chores to do meal prep or meal plan, they pick one of these out and cook it up for the entire family. So this is box number 1, and that doesn't mean anything except what's on the inventory, because we inventory all these items. So in box number 1 on the inventory, we have beef and rice, and that consists of 2 cups of rice, home canned beef stroganoff, vegetable beef soup, and then some fire roasted diced tomatoes with green chilies because we like it with a little spicy spice. Alright, so that is the beef and rice. Alright, so the second bag in our number 1 box is chicken and rice, and that is 1 roasted chicken pouch, and that's a pouch of rice. 1 jasmine rice pouch, and these are the 90-second microwaves. You can do them, and my kids actually prefer us to do them over the stovetop and use those directions right there. So we cook them by the stovetop directions with the chicken soup, home canned chicken soup, and a can of cream of chicken soup. And I will put the directions in the bag. But they are in my notebook, my spiral notebook with the recipes. Alright, so that's chicken and rice, bag number 2, and box number 1. Alright, everybody, we are now going to go to the number 2 box, and this is the number 1 bag. This is the chicken chow mein. And what this consists of is 2 cans of chicken, large cans of chicken, a can of pineapple, that's crushed pineapple. You can use chunk, whatever you want. They gave me crushed pineapple, a whole case of crushed pineapple when I ordered diced or, cubed. So, that's what we got, and we're not going to waste it, so there you go. And then some sliced water chestnuts to add a little crunchy crunch. And I have, and 2 cups of rice. Now, what I'll do with this is I'll either put some teriyaki with it, some General Tso's, whatever kind of sauce I have, because I have all kinds of sauces to use with this. So, orange chicken, teriyaki, I have General Tso's, I have just all kinds of flavors, and you just add whichever flavor you want to it, and there you got kind of like Chinese takeout. Alright, chicken chow mein. Alright, here we have our second set of chicken chow mein, done a little differently, and what this actually consists of is a chicken chow mein kit from La Choy. And I have 1 can of the pineapple chunks, and that's for sweetness. And then we have some bamboo shoots and water, and they're sliced, and that adds a little bit of crunchy crunch. And then I have a half a cup of jasmine rice. That's just for anybody that wants to add a little rice on theirs. And I also have cans of rice, like 2 cups of rice on the pantry as well. So if they want more rice, they can add that to it. So that's the second set of chicken chow mein that goes in box 2. Alright, now we are back in the Q kitchen, and we are at bag number 3, which is pasta meal kits. So the first two we have are tortellini Alfredo. And this is just shelf-stable 3-cheese tortellini. And a 22-ounce jar of Alfredo sauce. You can add chicken to it. You can add all your seasonings and everything. But this is just a kit to get you started. And there's 2 of these. And then the next one is our spaghetti Alfredo, which is 1 pound of spaghetti noodles that I have broken into thirds. Yes, my Italian friends are all aghast and clutching their pearls, I'm sure. And then another 22-ounce jar of Alfredo. And that goes into that bag. Alright everybody, this is Gardening Warrior. We are at the Q table and we are doing the inventory and bagging up items for our meals and bags, which is how I have my children learn how to meal plan and meal prep. Everything is together. They just have to follow directions. Alright, here we go. Box number 4. Alright, so the first bag in our number 4 box is creamy cheese and garlic chicken pasta. And I've got water in that one, but it's, I don't have water in every single kit because it would take up way too much room, and I've got bottles of water like this throughout the house. So, let's start. We have 1 pouch of creamy garlic pasta. We have 1 pouch of 4 cheese pasta, and these are the pasta sides by Knorr. And these are the 4.1 ounce containers, and this one's a 4.4. And then we have the panko to put on top, just add a little crunchy crunch. And then we have a can of chicken. Here we have the directions on how to make it. And so we're going to put that in the bag. With these sides, I've learned that to put them like this, one up and one down, is easier to get it into the bag and have it stay upright. And then we're going to put our panko in there. I'm not going to put that water in there. And then we're going to put the recipe card. And our first bag of creamy cheese and garlic chicken is complete. Now this is spicy creamy cheese and garlic. Its directions are actually stapled inside. And what that is the 4 cheese pasta and the creamy garlic pasta. I also have a little container here from probably Hello Fresh or one of the meal kits that I use, and I just didn't use the spice, so we've got that to add a little spice to our meal. You can also add tuna, chicken, beef, whatever. Usually chicken or tuna or salmon does better with these creamy pastas. And that's just going to go in the bag. Again, kind of hard with one hand. So, there we go. The spicy 4 cheese creamy garlic pasta. Alright, and here we are at the creamy pesto meal in a bag. And these bags actually just have the starter items. You still have to add the water, the milk, the butter. But these will actually just get you started. And I have water. I have the means to make 8 ounces of milk with instant milk. And I have butter powder, so I'm not really too concerned about that. And again, you can add chicken, salmon, or tuna to these, and it'll taste just absolutely divine. You can, that'll add a protein and make it go even further. So this is the creamy pesto, pasta sides, and that's another bag. Alright, right, we're ready for another delicious meal in a bag. This one's creamy garlic pasta. And what is in this one is 1 packet of warm and smoky Southwest seasoning. And you see these are the directions. It's actually stapled to the bag itself. And it just goes right inside the bag like this. That way it doesn't get lost. And again, kind of hard with one hand. Alright, and like I said before, putting one up and one down like this is much easier to put the pasta pouches inside the bag, especially if you only have one hand. And then the seasoning, and I've got a little jar of diced pimentos. That adds a little color to it, also a little bit of a flavor. And again, with any of these, you can add any kind of meat you want if you'd like. And you'll have a complete meal. Alright, that is box number 4. Done.